Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So in my previous videos where I was installing my front upper control arm bushings, I realized that the ball joints were done, and I mentioned that I did order a set of new ball joints. So the ball joints are finally here, and a set of upper and lower ball joints. So today we're going to be working on the upper control arm ball joints. So it looks like I'm going to be removing the upper control arms again. So let's just get to work. So to remove the upper control arm to do the ball joint, you'll need to remove, I guess, a couple things. So up top here, you'll need to disconnect the shock here and also the two bolts on the side here for the upper control arm. This will basically help take the upper control arm out. And then over here, basically under the car, you'll need to drop the fork so that you get enough room for the shock to drop down and then the upper control arm to come out. You'll need to disconnect the ball joint from here and these two 10mm bolts and basically the 17mm nut that's in here connecting the ball joint here. You'll need a ball joint separator to separate this. So I'm just gonna get right to it and get this disconnected and show you how it is right after. Alright guys, so once you have the upper control arm out, all you want to do is just remove the boot here. So what I did was I actually also rented a ball joint press from Canadian Tire, which is I guess a local automotive store, a department store in Canada here. And basically I'm going to use the ball joint press to press out the bush and press out the ball joint. Alright guys, so once you have the arm removed, you want to take off the boot here, and it's time to basically try and press out this ball joint. But first thing to note is take off the boot so you can note the orientation of this ball joint. There's no information on the Honda manuals or anything on how to replace this because Honda technically wants you to replace the whole arm. So we're just replacing the ball joint. So what you have to do is just take note of how this is lined up. I believe it's supposed to be like this, vertical, and there is supposed to be a marking on the top here somewhere that indicates how this would go, but I don't see it. Oh yeah, right here. So there is a marking here, and the ball joint itself should have a marking as well, but I don't see it on my new ball joints. So we'll just press this out first and take a look. So again, how you would take the boot out is just by removing this clip, and by removing the clip you just go around and in a circle with a small screwdriver. There you go. You should be able to pop that off. So the orientation of it is like this. So I'm just gonna wipe this up a little bit just to get a better look. So essentially the orientation is, at this point, it has to be, I guess, parallel. What I'm going to do is just make some markings here on the bottom side so when I press in the new ball joint, I know exactly how to line it up. I think that's pretty center, I would say. So here's the new ball joint. Beck and Arlie. Size-wise, it looks about right. So let's just press this out and have a look. There we go. Finally. And then now, basically, try to push this out. So I'm going to see if I have the adapter in here. Alright. It's set up. Basically, all you do is just crank on this thing and you should pop the ball joint out. That popped right out, pretty easy. Now let's just push the new one in. There's that old ball joint. Yep. So make sure you line it up. Basically, the ball joint has to go up and down like that, as you can see my marking. I basically lined it up with the numbers on the top of it. So that's pretty close. There's supposed to be some dimples on the ball joint to show you how to line it up with this line, but there isn't any on this ball joint. But as long as you have it like this, it should be okay. And there you go, it's pressed in. Yep, it's nicely pressed in. Now we just change that C-clip in there. It is seated properly. Yep. So you want to make sure that this snap ring is all the way snapped in, which it is. So that is good. Now we're just going to add some more grease and then replace the boot, and we should be good on this one. So I'm using this little moly grease that I've been using. This I use for, I guess, my clutch install and all that stuff. So any kind of grease should be fine. But you want to get some grease inside the boot. And it's nice that it comes in a tube like this because you can easily just squeeze it in there. You want to get some grease all the way inside here as well. Just put a little bit more. There you go. So that should be good enough for grease. And you just slip it on there like so. And then now you have to put this ring on, which isn't too tricky. It's just exactly the same as how you would take it off. So that's the full install. There you go. You got a new ball joint in here. And it comes with a nice new nut with a cotter pin. So basically just reinstall this into the car and you have a brand new upper ball joint. So there you go, guys. That was the install for the upper ball joints. Pretty straightforward. You press it out and press it in. If you don't have access to a press, you'll be using a socket and a hammer. I had access to a press because I was able to rent it at a local Canadian Tire here. And basically, you rent the tool, and when you return it in good condition, they give you your money back. So it's kind of free. It's just borrowing the tool. The only other issue that I had was with the aftermarket control arm. When I pressed out the ball joint and put the new one in, it just slipped in. So I'm assuming the control arm's only meant for one-time press-ins. So I wasn't able to get it to fit properly because once it drops in, you can actually spin the ball joint and it just keeps going. So what I did was I actually taped up the inside perimeter, like the inside circumference of the ring with a lot of aluminum foil tape so that it goes over the edge. And then I tapped the ball joint in so that it presses against the aluminum foil tape and then that against the control arm. So that held it in place. I'm sure in the future I'm going to have to replace that whole arm assembly anyways. So for now, this will do. Once I hear a lot of noise and knocking, I'm probably going to replace that in the future. But there you go, guys. That was the install. I hope this video helps you guys out. And if you're new here, please comment, like, and subscribe. And stay tuned for my next video where I'm doing the lower ball joints. Anyways, guys, as always, I'll see you in the next video. Cheers!